Citizen K.
Yes.
We spoke about this last week because
last week.
Alex Gibney came on the show. It's a film by Alex Gibney about Mikhail Khodorkovsky, who is this oligarch, Russian oligarch, who crossed Putin and effectively ended up in a gulag in Siberia for a long stretch, then released, now interviewed in London where he's campaigning for freedom in Russia. As with all of Gibney's fare, it's riveting fare, not least because of the fact that this extraordinary reversal of fortune happens to the central character. Here's a clip. The first voice you will hear is the BBC's then Russia correspondent, Martin Sixsmith.
The fact that the oligarchs were so reviled and resented by the Russian people was a fantastically useful tool for Putin. Putin very famously and publicly declared, "I'm going to destroy the oligarchs as a class." And every Russian would know where that quotation came from, because Stalin said very famously, "I'm going to destroy the rich peasants as a class." And when he did bring the oligarchs to heel, it was incredibly popular.
What he said to Khodorkovsky and to the country is that nothing belongs to you, that you have no legitimate right to it. We control everything and we can take it away from you if you cross us.
What's interesting is when you spoke to Alex Gibney, you said really it's, on the one hand, it's a film about this person, this kind of strange character, this very enigmatic and reversal of fortune-like life. But actually, it's about the changing face of Russia. There's a line in it which says, now we have to as with so many weird Russian stories, it begins in London. Yeah. And it ties it. The whole arc of the thing is about the change that happened in Russia, collapse of the Soviet Union, the change from communism to what is referred to in the film as gangster capitalism. So it's got two things running in parallel. One of them is the story of Khodorkovsky, who is a very enigmatic interviewee. I mean, you never feel like you actually get underneath his skin, not least because when he's talking about the imprisonment, he seems to be very, almost
smiling, relaxed, jokey.
Yes, extraordinary. And he talks about, everything he does is to do with Russia, and he wants to get back to Russia. This you could see perhaps as a companion piece to that Herzog movie recently, the Meeting Gorbachev movie, which again is to do with that recent history. So I think what's interesting is that there are two separate things going on. One of them is a history of Russia and how we got to where we are now, and the other is this story, which I confess I didn't know the Khodorkovsky story before. Did you?
I knew a bit of it, but not in the detail that he gives us.
But it is one of those stories that is quite simply jaw-dropping when you see him as being one of the people who helped bring Putin to power, who was very, very close to Putin, and who then ends up serving this huge stretch of imprisonment as a result of crossing him because he's now one of the wrong oligarchs. So, as with all of Gibney's stuff, it's a fascinating documentary with layers to it.
Cinematic?
I don't think you'd lose much not seeing it in the cinema.